Okay, now we're going to talk about how to calculate the r. I want to go ahead and write another formula. I know the book has one, however, I find it easier to do it this. And I posted the Visio. Basically, r is equal to, and the book's formula is SP over the square root, and if this is easier for you, please by all means use it, the sum of squareds x times the sum of squares y. Well, in actuality, all that is x bar y bar minus the average of x times y over the sum of squares x times the sum of squares y. Well, the sum of squares x is basically what we calculated before, so this is going to be the square root of, let me write this out, x bar squared minus x squared, the average, times the sum of squares y, which we haven't actually calculated this, but if you notice, this was actually what we calculated in the first part of the problem, which is this 5.8 times 13 point something minus the 70.778. That's the exact same term as this, and this other term, the sum of squares x, is nothing more than this right here. X bar, the average of x's squared, times squaring all the x's and then getting the average there. So that was the 5.883 minus the 38.6994, all right? That's this term right here. And then times the sum of squares y, which we haven't actually done. And so you'll actually go back to the Excel spreadsheet that's attached to this, and you'll be able to pull those numbers right off of there, all right? So this here is nothing more than the average of y's squared minus y squared average, okay, multiply by that. All right, if we do the math here, we basically end up with, because we already have the term from previously, we end up with the 7 over the square root of negative 4.66667 times, let me get that in, that's the term we had from before, negative 4.66667 times this new term, which we haven't actually calculated yet, but is going to be equal to negative 13.5556. Alright, bear with me because it's sort of difficult to, alright. When I do that, I am left with 0.880108. Well, when I square that term, I actually end up with equal to 0.77459, which I will just say is 77.5%, or something might say 78%, just sort of depends, okay? So 77.5% of the variance here can be explained with this variable, the number of hours of sleep. So that's this and this. Unlike what we, alright, then the y, if I were to kind of sketch that out, the y term just simply means like how they did in the last problem. Y bar is 13.3, so all the variance, if you were to come in here, that would be comparing the distance here. So from here to here, okay, this is actually all of the variance. And then these little portions here that I had before, that actually explains that piece of the variance. So if this was all the variance, that's the portion that's actually explained by it, alright? Which means that what's left over is just the 1 minus this, okay? Which is just 1 minus r squared, the non-determinant, let me pull this over, is nothing more than 1 minus 0.77459, which is just equal to 0.22541. Now, mind you, I don't get the exact same answers, but I'm okay with that. You get 22.5% versus the 77.52. The book answers, I believe I'm off. I should be off by some amount. Let me see. Yeah, the book answers give you 0.78 here, and they give you 0.22 here. But as you can see, I'm off just simply because I use a different formula, and it could be a rounding error.